Along with a mayoral candidate forum is a forum for the Ward 3 council races in Pascagoula. As we've reported, that Ward 3 race will be decided by a write-in vote. That's because a councilman passed away suddenly last month after ballots were already printed. Earlier today, I spoke with Secretary of State Michael Watson about the write-in race and other election information you need a week out from the municipal primaries. Secretary Watson, thanks so much for joining us today. Of course, a lot of information people know before we head into the upcoming municipal primary elections. Let's start off right now with the race in Pascagoula. We're dealing with kind of a different circumstance over here locally. City Council appointed someone to finish Councilman Johnny Walker's term after he passed away, but Walker's name will still be on that ballot next week. Can you explain to our viewers why this is not a special election?
Yeah, so really quickly, because he was the only candidate for that office, basically the city could have dispensed with the election prior to his passing away. Obviously, they had no idea he was going to pass away. But because they didn't, and he's the only candidate still on the ballot, that kicks into what is called a write-in campaign, basically. So because his name was on the ballot when it went to be printed, you can't take those off, which then goes into the statute that basically says, look, you got to have a write-in campaign for this. So as you saw, the city put in a temporary person to fulfill his term. And so what will happen now is it'll be the next 4-year term for this next city councilman who will be written in, as we say here, for the primary upon our primary position there for this election.
Right. And when voters do head to the polls, what do they need to bring with them?
Obviously, you want to bring your IDs, but also preparation. I think it's really important that we all make sure, look, these local elections are the ones that can change your lives pretty quickly, whether it be a tax increase or dealing with your garbage or a pothole or your local issues that you see every day. That's why I hope people don't just kind of say, look, we had this big election last year, I'm tired of going to the polls. Please don't do that. These are really important elections at the local level because they impact your life every single day. So I hope people are prepared. Make sure you're researching your candidates, but also take your ID and go in there and cast your ballot.
Right. What are you expecting in terms of voter turnout this year? Hopefully optimistic.
Always optimistic. Look, we've been really, I guess, tuned in to educate folks on why it's so important to vote. And again, going from the federal election last year, which was really important, and people were focused on that, but making sure people understand the necessity of going into these local elections to understand these are the ones that impact your lives much more quickly than they can at the federal level. So, our Elections 101 campaign, where we're trying to educate Mississippians on really the importance of the election process, but making sure their voice is heard, because that's how you hold people accountable. And I think it's really important to make sure we do that at the local level.
And we've got some upcoming deadlines too in terms of absentee voting. That opened up this past Saturday, and the last day to vote absentee is the 29th, right?
Right. It's been open for a little bit, but in person on the 29th at noon. Make sure that if you're going to be out of the town, or what are the reasons that we have there for absentee voting? I think there are 8 or 9 reasons. You can go look at those on My Election Day. It's a new tool that we have. You can also track your ballot in the primary on My Election Day. So it's a new tool that we offer on our website. But again, I hope people will make sure that they are encouraged to get out and make sure your voice is heard. I think that's the most important piece that we can talk about. But yes, and then on Election Day on the 1st, polls will be open from 7 to 7. Take your IDs there as well, and bring all your friends. Make sure they know that tomorrow, that April 1st will be the election day. Make sure they're prepared to go cast their ballot, but make sure everyone is aware of this, because again, these local elections are so very important.
Yeah, and April 1st also the day to postmark those mail-in ballots.
That's exactly right. They can be received within 5 business days. So I encourage everyone to get busy, making sure that they're doing their homework, make sure their voice is heard.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for joining us today. We're hoping for a good voter turnout as well.
Amen. Thank you much.